Hello and welcome to episode 46 of the GuildMag podcast. I think I did it a little bit too early there. Oh well. We're back. Sandra and Aaron, say hi guys.
Hello.
What's up?
How you doing?
We are back indeed.
We are back. After last week, well, there's not much to talk about last week, so we decided to give it a skip. But we're back at a new time. So just to remind everyone, if you're now in the UK, we are now on daylight savings time. So it's 9 PM BST if you're in the UK, it's 1 PM Pacific, and if you're not on daylight savings, it's 8 PM GMT. So yeah. A lot been going on this week then. There's been a kind of another typical Reddit drama explosion.
Drama!
Caused by none other than Mike O'Brien in his new position as game director.
He does like to come in on Fridays and just kind of go.
Indeed. So he's had the job a week, and already we've got our first bout of drama. So we thought we'd kind of take a look at that and just generally the whole of Q1 for Guild Wars 2 as a whole, since this is our last episode in Q1, entering April next week, and then a couple of weeks to the April update, whenever that's going to be. So we'll kind of just do a kind of a retrospective and include what Mike's been talking about as well. Before all that though, as always, we'll start off with the gem store news. So Sandra's been excited this week because in the gem store we have the bunny ears for, is it like 200 gems or something, isn't it?
Yes.
So they were quite cheap actually.
Yeah.
So it's Easter, so get yourself a pair of bunny ears. There's also the Ironclad outfit and glider. I actually think the glider looks kind of cool. The outfit's terrible, but
I agree.
But the glider,
Here's the deal. The outfit doesn't look half bad on a char.
Really?
I can see that.
Yeah, I went to preview it on my char because I was like, this is gonna be hilarious, and then it made me buy the outfit. I'm not using the outfit. Keep in mind, not using it, but I bought it, and just in case. And I also bought the glider because the glider's better than all the other garbage gliders they've been putting out on the gem store lately. It's the only one they've put out that I have actually liked.
Joe, I've got a horrible confession to make. So for right. So for this upcoming issue of the magazine, I've had to make like an outfit for a particular character, which we won't spoil or anything. And have you guys both seen the outfit that I've had to come up with? So
Yes.
This is the first time I've ever gone in game, and I've had to look at back items. I think it looks a bit incomplete without a back item. And to my shame, I looked at the White Wings backpack, and I thought,
knew it.
you know what? This doesn't look that bad on this character.
I told
And
you.
I went, oh, are you really considering this to myself?
Oh
And
no!
Did you get it?
No, I haven't. I haven't gone that far. I went as far as going, you know what?
The shame
it's
is
not
that he
bad.
considered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I somehow I have a feeling that you actually bought them, or if you haven't already,
yet.
you will shortly.
I can't do that. I'd be such a hypocrite after all these months
You're
on the
gonna get it.
podcast, probably. So yeah, that's Gemstone news. Game news. So 22nd of March, there was a small patch that dropped, mostly kind of bug fixes, quality of life improvements. One thing I did really like is in the squad, you could now shows the number of people that are currently in your squad, which is in raids. I'm forever being like, how many people have we got here? Are we 7, 8, 9? And I count, and then I miscount, and someone's like,
I was gonna say, if
an
you're in
idiot.
a raid, can't you surmise that it's gonna be 10?
Well, yeah, but normally like someone turns up, doesn't turn up, or somebody like leaves halfway through or something, and then I'm like, how many people have we got now? And so yeah, it's just
It'll be nice for guild missions because a lot of the guild missions require splitting up and stuff.
Yeah, it's just a really nice little feature. So apart from that, not really much happened in that patch. The big kind of news then that Mike dropped on us this week was that legendaries.
Did he drop the mic?
Oh my,
God.
that was bad.
That was so bad. So big news: new legendaries have been put indefinitely on hold. Or what was it? Indefinitely suspended. Something like that?
Indefinitely suspended.
That's
Yes.
the one. So basically
Yep.
cancelled. But the short bow called how you meant to pronounce this?
Shaka and Champawat is what I was thinking.
All right, for anyone who doesn't know, I got a brief lowdown on the history of these names from a guildie of mine. Apparently, they're named after 2 real-world tigers, and that's the thing. Yeah, that's what the names are after, and apparently they're really famous tigers, and so that's what's going on there with those names.
Where are these famous tigers from?
I don't know, but one of them killed like a lot of people.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're like badass tigers. They're not like.
So this is gonna be a badass
fluffy
short
ones
bow.
that are like. Yeah.
Is this gonna be like a tiger-themed short bow then? Like...
Just to be clear, despite the history behind the names, not a fan of the names for. Right. I'm also wondering, was that the name of like the precursor and the bow, or is the short bow actually called like Chukawu and Chakawa or whatever it was?
Way to butcher the names.
I know. I know. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I hope that's just.
That's a terrible. It's awful. It's the worst. Is it like one half of the bow is going to be one tiger and one half is going to be the other, and you're going to like pull on them?
Maybe one of them is the bowstring.
Oh God, it's gonna be.
Is it gonna roar when you pull it?
That would be cool.
That would be.
I mean, it might get annoying after a while. Every time you fire an arrow off.
Yeah, they can't make a good short bow. Come on, guys, what's going on?
Well, I'm gonna wait and see when they release what it actually looks like.
It might be okay.
It might be.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I liked the Dreamer, or whatever. The one with the unicorn, because unicorn. Yeah. I mean, why not? Yeah.
So just to clarify then, legendary armor and the back piece have not been affected by this, so they're still going ahead. It's just the new weapons we were promised are no longer coming. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Some other news to go through. So last week. I had an awesome Revenant t-shirt arrive, courtesy of ArenaNet and I am 8-bit. So now's the point where I stand up and show it off.
All right, well, stand up and show it off then.
Here we go. There we go. So if you fancy your own, you can get your own Guild Wars 2 swag at I am 8-bit. You can get Profession t-shirts, posters, Quaggan plushies, and the Hearthorn soundtrack on vinyl. So go and check it out, and a big thanks to ArenaNet and I'm 8-bit for the gift. So this week, State of the Game for Q1 is our discussion topic. And just to kind of preface before we say anything, we're going to try and be as balanced and objective as possible. So for full disclosure to everyone, we are partnered with ArenaNet, and we also do have our own personal opinions about everything that's been going on. So we're going to try and share both sides of the argument as best we can. And while we're going along in chat, feel free to let us know what you think. If you're watching the recorded version, obviously let us know in the comments. We do read everything, even if we don't respond to everything, we do read it. And yeah, it's quite a polarizing, I suppose not polarizing, because most people are negatively against it, but I think it's worth considering both sides of the argument for all this. So before we get into the whole legendary weapon thing, Q1 is obviously coming to a close, and the April update approaches, and I thought it would just be nice to preface the whole discussion by talking about what we're actually doing in game now, and like where the game's at for us. So, Sandra, do you want to kick us off? What are you doing in Guild Wars 2 at the moment? Are you playing? Should we start with that?
I'll change the way I was going to phrase what I'm actually doing. I'm doing pretty much nothing right now in game. I haven't been logging in.
Wow, how are you gonna phrase it before that?
I'm doing everything in game. That's what she's
No, I was gonna say I'm doing fuck all, but there you go. So we've got to censor that now. Yeah, no, I'm just not doing anything. I'm not logging in. I logged in and bought bunny ears.
Yeah.
I mean, that was exciting. I took a screen cap and then I logged back out. So it's like I feel no motivation to play. There's nothing that I'm working towards. I was working towards gearing up for raids. Our group 2 is not happening now. I have no reason to log in and continue preparing for that. So it's like, okay.
You can pug raids.
That look on her face just says it all.
No, not gonna happen. Yeah. So I'm kind of like in this place where it's like, yeah, Guild Wars is there, and I'll come back to it maybe, hopefully, especially when season 3 comes out. But for now, it's like I just don't have any incentive to play, and it makes me sad.
Yeah. How about you, Aaron?
I log in for guild missions every Sunday, and I log in to do the live stream on Wednesdays, and I log in 2 or 3 times a week to do just stuff with my guild. We might push a map meta in one of the plethora of map metas they have now, or we might PvP or something. But I'm not really focused on a certain objective right now. I'm just playing. I'm playing for fun right now, is how I would put it. I'm not progressing. I'm simply enjoying. But yeah, not playing a whole lot. Mainly not due to lack of motivation to play, more due to just lack of time in general. But no, I think the game's in a good place with me right now. I just don't have as much time to play as I'd like. I try to get in 2 or 3 times a week though, just to do fun stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of people seem to be in this position. I mean, I log in just to raid 2 days a week, and that's pretty much it. Like, and it's super hard. Like, as content creators, it's really difficult to. We're kind of in this situation where we have to we'll be forced to play the game, but almost kind of. I don't really know how to describe relationship.
I mean, engaged. Yeah, I think we need to be engaged with it.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm still paying attention to what's going on in the community, obviously, but just logging in it's not been happening for me.
Yeah.
Sad face.
I think a lot of people are in the same boat at the moment. I think even Mike's has acknowledged it somewhere. I can't remember the quote. We'll probably get to it later. It's probably somewhere in the show notes. But yeah, I think as TK says, I understand Sandra's point of view. I've been logging in just a few times a week to hit one of the Dragon map events. And yeah, if you don't raid, and we've said it on previous episodes many times, there's not that much to keep you, I guess, engaged in the game.
Yeah, especially if you're a PvE player like we are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you're a non-rating PvE player, you're kind of just like, what am I doing?
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, I've been through the core game content so many times already. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's like we do fractals occasionally, but it's like I've played all of them, and no matter what people say, going up in fractal level doesn't change them for me enough to make them more engaging. So fractals are just at this point.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
Yeah. So let's talk about the big elephant in the room then. Let's move on and talk about the work on legendary weapons being indefinitely suspended. Which is basically PR talk for not going to happen.
It really is. Like that really surprised me that they used that wording, because that very much is PR talk for guys. We're not working on this anytime soon ever.
Yeah.
So that was really worrying.
So for anyone who's not kept up, the basic TLDR of it are that the 6 developers that were working on the legendary weapons have now been moved to Living World. And the short bow, whatever it's called, Chukka and Chumpawat, will be the last legendary weapon that we can expect to see for any time in the considerable future, I think. And so, as probably, I guess they expected, there was quite a negative backlash on Reddit. So much so that there had to be kind of a mega thread Reddit post just dedicated to negative feedback and discussion about it.
Just a giant swirling cesspool of hatred and negativity.
Yeah, so we're gonna
sounds like my work.
It wasn't, to be fair, it wasn't a lot of the comments that you see, especially towards the top of the thread, are, I wouldn't say negative as more as they're just kind of disappointed and understanding of, well, okay, if this isn't working,
they're defeated.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like, well, where is this game going? It feels a bit, Mike keeps trying to come out and he's putting out fires now. So why are we in crisis mode?
Yeah, I saw one particular post that someone linked basically back to Colin's post on the Guild Wars 2 blog for 2013. I think it was like the second half of 2013 about this is what we want to achieve in 2013. The things on it like we'll constantly add new skills and traits to the game as a type of progression. That never happened.
Well,
that didn't happen.
I mean, and that post says this is what we want to focus on. It never says, you know, these things will come and we're not changing our minds. Obviously, they changed their minds since that post.
I mean,
it's not. I mean, I kind of hate it when people always drag up old stuff like that. It's kind of annoying. Like when people drag up the 2010 MMO and manifesto video. It's like, guys, that was 6 years ago. Calm down.
But at the same time, these are things that they were published by the company, so you have to. I mean, you have to take it into consideration.
I think there's always been an issue with Guild Wars 2 is over-promising things. There's always been this issue of communication, and many people have said this before. Either they don't communicate enough, or they kind of over-communicate in the sense that they promise too many things that they just end up not delivering on. I think that was the case. It seems to be the case ever since the game launched, to be honest. It seems to be they've been trying to constantly answer the question of the end game of Guild Wars 2 and player progression, you know, outside of not having this gear treadmill or anything that traditional MMO does to keep players playing their game. And back in the 2013 blog post, I'm pretty sure they mentioned they were going to introduce new legendaries by the end of that year. And here we are in 2016 with, you know, in this current situation. So the questions we wanted to sort of think about in this show, the first one was, how much of a difference can these 6 developers make to the Living World team? Because I mean, it's only 6 developers that you're pulling off.
All right. Here's the thing. I'm not a game developer, so I have no idea. Like, I can't even begin to speculate because I just don't know.
I mean, to me, it's like, does the Living World team desperately need these 6 more people on it? And if they do, this is a whole other issue of, is Living World even going to be ready by Q3?
Right.
It depends. There's a whole bunch of factors, though. It depends, because Living World encompasses a whole lot of different departments, right? Maybe Living World's up to scratch on, like, you know, 5 out of 6 departments, and they just really needed, you know, maybe they had a 4-person team working on something that should have been a 10-person team, and that was holding up the entire process, and now they're showing that up a little bit. It could be a scenario like that. But yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean,
I think...
Oh, go on.
I was just going to say that I think ArenaNet has... One of the things that we've seen from ArenaNet over the past however many years is that they like to iterate on things, and then they iterate again, and they iterate again and again. So it's like this continual progression of trying things out or trying to tweak things to make it better. And it's like, at what point are you going to say, okay, this is what it's going to be, and this is what it's going to be, and just go with it?
That's what didn't Colin do a blog post with the seasonal update blog post? That's what that blog post was supposed to be. That blog post was supposed to be like, guys, this is how it's going to be this whole year, guaranteed, no changes. Boom, here we go.
Right. And now we're Colin's gone, and Mo's given us no changes.
Now we're getting kind of a hiccup there, right? But I mean, we got to still think about the quarterly updates are still going to be a thing. They're still going to be every quarter. You know, we're still going to be getting our raid wings finished. We're still going to be getting Living World come, you know, 4 years from now. So
this is like
nothing to worry about, guys.
This is what I wanted to bring up. So, like, the raid team is a really small team of developers that put out
6 people.
Yeah, exactly 6 people that put out really great content that a portion of the player base is really engaged in. Why can't 6 other devs just do legendaries? And
I would actually argue that the making, what is there, like 16 different weapon types, making 16 new legendary weapons is a lot more work than making 3 raid wings, because the raid wings are, you know, 3 bosses, right? And the majority of the work that goes into that is probably scaling.
Mike.
Your microphone.
He promised me it wouldn't happen.
That's all right.
No. We'll take over while you fix it.
Yep.
Well, it's more than just bosses though in the raid. It's so especially in the new wing, they've got all these little. They're pushing the boundaries of the actual tech in the game. So they're having things like different players will have conversations with each other, like player characters, which has never been done before in Guild Wars 2. So it's not like it's just make some bosses, make a area for the bosses to live in, and there we go.
Well, I think the majority. What I was saying is, I think the majority of work that goes into a raid wing is scaling and QA testing, because you have to fine tune that balance. And but with the thing that's holding them up with the legendaries is the precursor collections. Those things take insanely long to make, because you have to balance those right. You have to QA test every single little aspect of them, which is like dozens of stupid little things that shouldn't take nearly as much time as they do. And yeah, I think they bit off way more than they could chew with allotting 6 people to this massive project of collections, and they just didn't see it being as difficult as it was.
So this is the thing. Like, I was talking with Jace, one of our. He's going to watch this and say I've like misquoted him or something. He does this every episode.
He does, yeah.
But we were talking about this, and his kind of opinion was, if it's these collections that are holding up the development of legendary weapons. Let's be honest, making the actual models of the weapons would not, in terms of the overall game development, would not take that long.
It's probably the least amount of work.
Yeah, so it's the collections, I think, which is holding them back. It's how bad must the system be for it to take this long just to do, when your sole job every day at ArenaNet is just to do legendary weapons, and to do this precursor collection. How crappy of a system must it be for you to have to be able to work with it and add in these collections to begin with? And I think that's one of the issues. And people have been talking about kind of mismanagement and just bad systems, and built on top of
existing,
like spaghetti code, for want of a better word. So Guild Wars 2 is like a really, really heavily modified version of Guild Wars 1's engine.
Yeah.
And to go from Guild Wars 1 to Guild Wars 2, I mean, you've got to imagine there's a load of just nonsense everywhere. It seems like, because it takes them so long to develop things, it seems like they're just doing it with tools that aren't optimal, and it's holding them back.
There's a lot of jank workarounds, because their engine isn't maybe as modern as, some other games. So
I think
they can't just. It's not easy to implement certain things.
And I think that's one of the big issues why legendaries have taken so long. It's this precursor collection system that's just it's just got to be a bad system, I think.
Yeah, and it's something that came up in the mega thread. I mean, there were several people who posted saying, ideally should they scrap their engine and start from scratch? Would that make things easier for the devs to move forward? I don't know. I'm not a dev, but I can imagine that working with old tech isn't easy. I mean,
yeah.
I suppose that'll be that's like a whole Final Fantasy 14 scrap the whole MMO and start again thing.
Final Fantasy 14 came up in the discussion as well. Because Square Enix threw money at it and dev time at it, and they made it. They put someone new on the project. They reboot the game. Yeah,
they put a new game director in, and look at it now. It's like one of the most popular MMOs that there are at the moment. Yeah, exactly. I don't think we need to go that far. Guild Wars 2. It's not a bad game overall. I think as people have been pointing out, it might be mismanagement and just poor tools, and because you have to question, how much difference are 6 developers going to make in a living world team? I mean, you'd like to think by now that they're further along than this is maybe suggesting.
Well, my bet would be something is tripping them up in living world, one specific area, and they're throwing all these people on one thing that's specifically proving troublesome. Less than the whole project is behind schedule. I think it's just they needed to throw a solid team at a certain area, because you're right, on a 70 developer team, I'm not a game developer, but I don't think 6 people is going to make the difference between releasing in September and releasing in December, So I bet there was one area that was super behind schedule compared to the rest of Living World Season 3, and they just really needed to throw some people at it to pull it up to scratch.
Yeah. And so I've seen this in the chat a little bit. I can't remember who said it, and also on Reddit a lot. There's this post that someone put that unless something changes, I'm not buying expansion 2. And at the moment, they've got 70 developers working on the new expansion. And people all over Reddit have been like, well, we haven't really got the first expansion yet. We've got like half an expansion.
Yeah, and Mo took issue with that. in a couple of his posts.
How did we get half an expansion? They gave us literally everything they promised with Heart of Thorns. We've gotten all of it.
You could argue that, but I mean, my argument is the story was half as long as I was expecting it to be. You could, there were
and they didn't, and that's why they didn't tell us anything about the story, because it was crap. And I mean, nobody asked questions about it, and we got what we got because nobody ever needled them enough to get them to the, because this happens in like PR a lot. You get needled until you make a promise that's not what it's going to be, right? You over embellish a bit, and they never had to do that with the Heart of Thorns story because they had us enamored with all the systems and
specializations.
And I just think it's
systems
ridiculous.
Are like flawed. If you look at masteries, a massive grind at the moment, and they're having to nerf them in. Is it coming in April, or I can't remember if they said.
Are they nerfing masteries? That's a terrible idea.
Yeah, they're nerfing the grind.
Yeah, that's what they said.
That's
coming in April.
That's stupid though, because people a lot of people have already finished all the masteries easily. So it's not an overly difficult system, and it gives people who don't have a ton of time to play something to work toward. Dude, you don't need 166 mastery level to enjoy the game. You don't need it. I'm 58 and I'm fine. I'm perfectly happy. Okay, I'm sorry, you don't need to nerf masteries. It's crazy talk. I didn't even know they were doing that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, honestly, it does feel like we haven't got everything that Heart of Thorns should have been. I feel like, as Raven Godspire says in chat, most of the story seems to be on the cutting room floor. That is how I feel. I feel like you don't put 70 developers working on your next expansion when you've got a lot of people who aren't happy with what's been delivered so far. And especially with the legendary thing now, take people off the next expansion and make them give us legendaries. Give us what you promised for Heart of Thorns. All they promised for Heart of Thorns was 3 legendaries, and those came out right on time. They promised us increments for the next set. It was heavily implied that at some point in Heart of Thorns after release, you will have all these new legendaries.
The post the post that they put out on legendaries, and I'll link this in chat in a second, said, "We will be releasing new legendary weapons in small groups at regular intervals with a full set of 16 until the full set of 16 has been added to the game." They didn't say expansion.
Yeah.
So I mean,
in Colin's announcement at PAX, I'm pretty sure he said that they would be coming with Heart of Thorns, which, since they released 3 with Heart of Thorns, that's technically true. But I think I agree with Rowan in that, they say regular increments, right? And we're 5 months in, but at the time of this announcement, and they still haven't gotten any new. I think that's fair to say that their planned increments were sooner than every 6 months, right? So I think it's fair to say by
something
then that we were in trouble. Yeah, something was wrong. So that's probably when they realized, we need to announce something, because these are nowhere near complete.
Right.
So, okay, so we're going to move on and talk about, is it all bad? Is this the end days for Guild Wars 2? And I think there's some good we can take away from this. So first of all is, at least we've got people being open and honest about what's happening. Mike's come in and said exactly what's happening. He's not trying to sweep it under the rug or anything. It's I think it's what players have been asking for in terms of communication, in terms being upfront and honest with players, which is good. And people aren't kind of annoyed about what's been people are annoyed about what's been said, not how it's been said or why it's been said, if that makes sense. It's just the content of it. So I think a takeaway is keep doing it. Just don't fuck off and make it have the same kind of negative comments like this one.
And I don't know, personally, the whole cutting the legendaries thing isn't a big deal for me, because, guys, I'm not gonna do all that anytime soon, right?
Well, you've got a million anyway.
I'm good. I'm done. I also think that there's a very small majority of players that actually, maybe larger than in other games, because you see legendaries all the time, right? They're a dime a dozen. But compared to the overall player base, this isn't impacting a lot of people. And they've still got the legendary armor and back piece coming out, which are ultimately the more important of the two things. So this announcement honestly doesn't worry me that much about the overall game. It really doesn't.
Yeah. and
Age Night Road. Go ahead.
No, you go on.
I was going to say Age Night Road brings up a point that they should have waited until the April patch to announce the news because there'd be less blowback because there'd be things, I guess, coming into the game.
Yeah.
And that's a point. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was just getting to the point where they felt like they needed to say something. I don't know. I mean, it is an oddly timed announcement, isn't it? Because it seems super rando. Like,
I mean, and it's like it was only a couple of weeks ago that they said, oh, the short bow and the mace are the furthest along, and now we're just getting the short bow. So what happened to the mace?
yeah, and I think when they made that announcement, Colin was still game director, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So I'm wondering if Colin originally planned to have this announcement, because this has probably been... They've probably been kicking this idea around for some time, right?
Sure.
And maybe this was something that Colin might have wanted to continue work on the legendaries, and Mike might have wanted to put more resources on the expansion, and that's why this didn't happen until Mike got in charge.
I think,
or Living World rather. He put him on. Did he put him on Living World or expansion? I don't remember.
Living World.
Living World.
Yeah.
The thing is that like whenever people bring up the argument that, well, you know, this was Colin screwing up and now Mike's having to put out the fires type thing, it's like, well, it's not like Mike just stepped into the game from nowhere. He's been the CEO.
He's the head honcho.
He's the boss.
Literally,
and has been since the arena that started. So it's not like he hasn't been around.
Yeah, he could say we're putting Furbies in the gem store. No one would fire him. He's the boss. No one can fire Mike O'Brien. He's the leader of the company. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know, I think this is on Reddit actually, that Mike O'Brien was the guy that originally did Blizzard's Battle.net system for Diablo? I thought that was...
Yeah, he was a senior programmer at Blizzard. He worked on WoW and Diablo and all that.
So it's not like he's new to game development either, people.
No.
Yeah, he was a senior programmer back in the late 90s. You know, he knows his stuff. He's not just the business end. He actually knows how the game works and stuff.
Yeah. Exactly.
So to get back to this point then, as Zabu's in 112 says, I've been playing Guild Wars 2 since it came out and I still don't have any legendaries. And I think this is a big... Like we were saying, a lot of people don't have legendary weapons. They're legendary for a reason. You know, they're not meant to be weapons that most people have. And so there is this argument, like you were saying earlier, is it better to focus resources into content that most people will play, like the Living World, which is what I'm imagining most people at this point are gunning for in Guild Wars 2. And so I can see it makes sense. There's this quote from Mike, I think it was yesterday, he wrote this on the forums. So it says, I want to reiterate the part about sustainability. Be angry about legendary weapons, sure, but how about the recent drought of content? That kind of thing happens when we spread ourselves too thin and when we let the content development pipeline empty out so we can fight fires. What I think we actually owe you is sustainable, predictable, high quality content. I think he's totally aware that they've spread themselves way too thin. And it seems like...
Ultimately... Oh, go ahead, finish.
I was going to say, it seems like he's just trying to really consolidate focus around Living World to kind of keep people happy, I guess. Because if Living World fails, like if it's a total shambles, what's next?
That's it, exactly.
I think that will be the final nail for majority of the player base, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I think out of all the things they have teams on, legendaries, like the new legendaries, is probably the least important, let's be honest. So I think they chose the least of all possible evils when it comes to how they've redistributed.
Yeah.
And that's why ultimately I'm not too bothered. Like maybe, like I said, maybe these 6 devs being put into Living World will just, help speed the process up, and maybe we'll actually get it sooner than was originally anticipated. Maybe they're not struggling to make it on time. Maybe Mo just feels that they'd like to give us Living World sooner rather than the original plan date.
Yeah.
Have to wait and see.
One of the things that came up, one of our GuildMag followers, your Smokey42356, went and posted in that mega thread and also a separate thread that he's got hope about the legendaries because he's thinking that his conspiracy theory is that the Living World devs these devs who've been put on Living World are now going to be able to see how those systems work and can figure out how to make the collections better by having them plug into Season 3 or Living World content directly rather than going backwards into the dynamic event system of core game and trying to make them fit there. It's an interesting idea. It's a wait and see to see what will actually shake out of this, but it is an interesting idea. I thought that needed to be brought up.
I think it's probably wishful thinking of trying to find like the light at the end of the tunnel in regards to legendary weapons. I mean, I feel like if you're part of the legendary weapon team, you'd know how everything slots into the game and where like living world and all that's going anyway, just to try and, I guess, make stuff relevant and stuff.
And that's another thing is, certain developers are more skilled in certain areas of developing for this game. So the people who are put on legendary weapons probably really good at reward stuff, right? So chances are maybe Mo thought the living story rewards weren't quite up to scratch, and he put some rewards people on them, because that's really what developing a legendary and a precursor collection is a high-end rewards system. So that could be why, again, another reason why that specific team was redistributed in that way.
Well, so I thought it would be good then, with all this kind of talk about living world, to kind of talk about what we want from season 3, and whether or not kind of is all this drama that's around season 3 and legendary weapons at the moment going to be worth it in the end? Kind of what do you guys want out of it? Because I know there's kind of two camps with people at the moment. Some preferred season 1, some preferred season 2. How about you guys? Should we start there? Do you prefer season 1 or 2?
Season 2 by a country mile. Season 2 is
because why?
Because it just improved their storytelling in every possible capacity. I liked the focus on the instances instead of the open world stuff. It allowed for a lot more dialogue and a lot more interpersonal dialogue, and that's always better for exposition and character development. And so I thought that resulted in much clearer, more relatable characters and more lovable characters. And I feel an actual attachment to these characters now that I didn't feel in season 1 at all.
Yeah. I liked season 2 probably over season 1 for the story, but season 1 had these open world events that were just amazing to be part of. They were fun.
Champion farms.
Well, yeah, but they were still a lot of fun to just go in and repeat. I mean, it was repeatable content that was a heck of a lot of fun.
The Scarlet invasions weren't great. I will say though that Marionette was fantastic.
Awesome, yeah.
Marionette was good.
Awesome.
Marionette was really good. Marionette is one that's constantly cited by like everyone is just like, oh, remember that? That was the best. And that was really, they should take that as a sign that we need more stuff like that, which they kind of have with the dragon stand fight and stuff.
Yeah, I think. I was going to make a point then. While I'm trying to remember, so I preferred season 2 as well, like you guys. I think gameplay wise, it was a lot better, a lot more fun. You could start to see them thinking about mechanics in the kind of the later episodes more. I think with the Terragriff, stuff like that, having to actually like dodge its abilities and stuff. I like kind of the replayability and the instance content of it, but at the same time I really like the open world stuff for season 1, and season 1 felt more like you were actually affecting the world and like, the map, and look at like Keswick's Hills, like that's completely changed with Tower of Nightmares and all that kind of stuff that happened.
I feel like all that stuff is on rails anyway, though, so you're never really going to feel like you're affecting the world until we make like some serious breakthroughs in artificial intelligence in the tech industry. So I feel like where we are right now, technologically, I still much prefer instance content at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to be able to see them be able to like mash the two things up. So have these like instant story steps that are repeatable and that you go through like season 2, but have big open world events like the Marionette and like Tower of Nightmares, which was actually not that bad, like as a piece of content in the open world.
It was filler, but it was good filler.
Yeah,
which could be said for half of season 1. Another reason why I'm not a huge fan of it, because most of it was filler. It was well done filler, but it was filler.
Maybe I think it was filler for you, and I don't know that it might have been filler for everyone, though.
I mean, it was filler in the sense that yes, you can tie it into the story through Scarlet and her alliances, but you didn't need it. like those alliances were all very contrived and shoehorned. Like they did not. You could take them all out and still have more or less the same story. You could easily write.
I think probably also too they didn't. I mean, there was cool information in Scarlet's Lair, which you can still go into, I believe, in Lornar's Pass, about why she chose the alliances that she did. I mean, there's fodder there that they didn't really explore because they killed her off. And
spoiler, Sandra.
If you haven't, whatever.
Do you want her to be like? Do you want her to be Canuck 2.0 and be like helping us out in Destiny's Edge 2.0?
No, but I think there's just fodder for like why. I mean, there's just lore. There's the thing is with Guild Wars that people constantly come back to is the story is really good and rich. The Guild Wars lore is just really rich. So why not tap into that? And I think the reason why the three of us, because we all played Guild Wars 1 and we enjoyed that story. So we probably connected more with season 2 story-wise because they were tapping into that in part, not always, but in part.
I mean, just my problem with the alliances is like, guys, if you watch anime, right? A lot of the bad guy groups in anime are super cheese, and that's how I felt about the alliances in season 1. It was like, and now we're going to fight this alliance with these two factions. How are we ever going to beat them? And it was really anime cheese the way they did those. So that's just how I feel there.
But at the same time, it's a video game, you know.
I know, but they can always strive to do better, and I feel like that was not the best they could have come up with.
So as Zabuzin says in chat, I like random events. It brings players together, and I think that was a big part of season 1. Like, think back to the ArenaNet, where you'd actually work with players on the map to achieve a goal, and you didn't quite have the same in season 2. I don't think with the instance.
Yeah, I mean they had a couple up in like Iron Marches, but it was really not as impactful, I think, as the ones in season 1.
Yeah, and so as Nebulizer87, I think, I'm sorry about names in chat, says instancing ruins MMOs.
So not
in
true.
My opinion.
I disagree heartily.
I think they're trying to find a balance because Guild Wars 1, even though it was, I guess, categorized as an MMO, kind of really wasn't. You were out there in an instanced map to go and clear whatever you needed to do to fulfill your objectives. It wasn't really only in the cities and the outposts where you were mostly with other people.
Yeah, and go on.
I was just going to say the problem with that idea that instances ruin MMOs is that you can't have, guys, if everything's open world, and they found this out pretty early, you can't really have intricate mechanics when your event requires 150 people to do it, right? Your mechanics can get only as complex as, now everybody needs to grab a mortar shell and throw it. And and the challenge there is just simply getting the people to do it. Like that's the maximum amount of challenge you can put in those. What instances do is allow you to actually have a more cohesive, complex, nuanced experience with less people but more teamwork. And that's why instances are fundamentally imperative to MMOs as well as open world content. I think it's important to have both.
Well, I agree with you with the point about teamwork, but I think where Guild Wars 2 has gone wrong is that instances at the moment, outside of raids, require no teamwork whatsoever. So Raven,
those are core content. Those are real old, right?
Like, I mean, so you're making the point that instances should like require teamwork, and that's how you can bring people together. But Raven says, "I solo instances. Open world makes the world feel alive." And I completely agree with that. I mean, I soloed all my season 2 story steps. Like, I had no connection with any other player in the game for that, and to this day I've never gone in with anyone else to do any of the season 2 stuff, like even for like achievements and stuff.
Well, I mean, even you look at what happened at the end of with the Mordremoth fight at the end of Heart of Thorns. I mean, if you went in with a party, it could bug out and you would never be able to finish it unless you went in by yourself.
I think
you just can't have as tight and intricate of mechanics in an open world experience. You just can't do it because you can't expect all those people to be able to do that.
No,
so your encounters end up really dumbed down.
Yeah, that's very true. But
you have to make it for 150 people.
I think at the same time, they've applied that thinking to instance core content as well, because it's not particularly intricate or mechanical or challenging. So I
mean, you raid. Would you say raids aren't intricate or challenging?
I mean, if we're talking about in the context of like living world, and trying to like refine it to, because raids aren't really core content for a lot of people. I think you can in Guild Wars 2 you can kind of think of them as like an aside. If we're talking about like core story-driven content that I don't want to say everyone plays, but you know, like 99% or whatever of players would play in Guild Wars 2.
Also, there's also the problem of if you have all your living world happening in the open world, chances are it's going to be on rails and on a timer, and that's super annoying. I like having it on demand in the quest form. It's way better in my opinion. I think you can tell a more cohesive, more intricate story with instances rather than an open world. I don't like the open world idea.
I think this kind of goes back to the point that we've made in previous shows, is that which player base is ArenaNet trying to cater to? Because we've got this PvE focus, we've got this PvP focus, we've got this world versus world focus, we've got raiders now, and so it's like, how many times are they going to split themselves to try and?
Well, I don't think they're trying to cater to one as much as develop for all, right? Like they're doing. But
is that the right way to go about it? I guess is my.
If you want a big player base, yeah, it is. Like they're developing raids for raiders. I bet you that brought in a lot of people. They're developing PvP for PvPers. The way they're going with esports like that, I bet that's keeping a lot of people in. And now what they're slacking on right now is the average PvE player, right? Because they haven't been coming out with Living World. They've only been coming out with raids. And I think when they get those Living World updates, you bet they get a huge flood of players coming into the game. And since it's a buy-to-play game rather than a sub-based game, that's fine. Like, that's totally fine to operate that way. It's a lot safer for them to operate that way.
And we've talked about, too, like, their development team is really small compared to other companies.
I wouldn't say that. I would say for having their dev, since they're just one company that focuses on one game, they actually have a pretty big dev team for this single game.
What are they at, like 300 or something?
Yeah,
probably like between 300 and 400. And you have companies like Blizzard, right, who has thousands of employees. They also have dozens of games. So that's why you have that disparity. I think, like Rowan said before, XIV has like half the dev team that Guild Wars 2 does.
Yeah, I think even less than that, but it's...
Yeah, they have Guild Wars 2 has a pretty hefty dev team.
Yeah, I mean, my question, why I brought that up is because Nebulizer brings up in chat that ArenaNet has spread itself too thin, and it's something that Mike addressed.
Yeah, Mike even acknowledged it.
This weekend. So it's like, if you've spread yourself too thin, do you...
I mean, how do they remedy that? Outside of employing...
I mean, do you hire more people?
Well, and it's come full circle because you cut the legendaries. That's how you remedy that, is they cut the legendaries.
But that's only 6 people. Like, it's literally 6 devs out of 300. I mean, that's like a drop in the ocean, surely.
So it's like, should they be hiring?
If it was the drop in the ocean, they wouldn't have done it. They did it because it was important.
I just feel like something has to change. Like we've talked about this before. Like trying to support these 3 game modes, is just not. It's just not working. Like are any players from all? Are any PvE, PvP, or World v World players genuinely happy at the moment in Guild Wars 2? I think that's a big question. I think
PvP and PvEers are happy. I think there's a large number, I'm not going to say minority, but a large number of vocal people who are unhappy because they've grown complacent about the pace at which content is delivered. Spoiler alert, guys, game development takes a bit of time. So they can't just give you content every month. Like, that's not feasible, right? The 2-week release schedule, that was just bad content getting delivered every 2 weeks. I don't want to go back to that. And I think WW players are the only ones who are truly unhappy right now, and they have every right to be. But no, I think they have a huge player base, which means something's working for them. They're making money, which means something's working for them. And I think the game's going to be fine when Living World comes out. I don't think it's going to die.
I really think this Living World has to... I don't know, it's got to bring a lot of people back, I think. Because we've seen that a lot of people just are, like, all three of us right now, barely playing the game at the moment, and we're probably not going to until Living World.
But I also want to make the point that while barely playing the game, Sandra logged in to buy those bunny ears, and that's exactly what they want. They don't care if you're playing; they care if you're buying stuff on the gem store. Yeah. And as long as you're doing that, and I bet there's a ton of people that they are not going to be playing the game, but when they see that new gem store stuff on Twitter, they're logging in and go like, I'm I'm gonna pick that up. You know what I'm saying? And then when content comes out that they want to play, they'll play it. And that's the purpose of the free to play and buy to play model as opposed to the sub fee model. They don't have to focus on people playing every single day because they're not a sub fee game. I mean, it's always good to have people playing your game, obviously, but they can operate better on the spurts of players, on the come and go rather than the steady, because of their business model.
I think like the big kind of issue I have with that is, as an MMO player, if it wasn't for GuildMag, in all honesty, right now, and I went back to another MMO, and then Guild Wars 2 brings out its Living World, like, is that going to be enough for me to stop investing in the other MMO that I've been playing and come back to Guild Wars 2? Like, I think a lot of MMO players don't just kind of play one MMO or kind of play one MMO at a time kind of thing, but then if that gets boring for them, they'll move on to their next one. I think a lot of people do that.
I don't know. It's really hard to juggle MMOs. I feel like most people pick an MMO and that's their MMO. And if you want to
happens when
single player stuff?
What happens like right now when nothing's happening? You move.
Yeah.
You move. And like, are you just going to come back?
What I do is I go play single player stuff, but I don't invest in another MMO. That's suicide. That is time suicide.
Right, but other players are moving to the other MMOs. I mean, we've seen it in chat come up, you know, throughout today. People going to BDO or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's a thing.
Says, nowadays, I think we move quite quickly and play MMOs. Like BDO, Black Desert Online, just came out. I know a lot of Guild Wars 2 players are playing that at the moment instead of Guild Wars 2.
And a lot of other players from other games are playing it too. It's the new experience versus the old. I don't think it's a problem of Guild Wars 2 specifically that it's hemorrhaging players or anything. I think it's just
probably
that,
an industry thing.
Yeah, people go like, guys, people are tired of MMOs. If you didn't know that, that's the thing. There's a serious MMO fatigue in the industry right now. The only people who actually still play MMOs are very diehard MMORPG fans that need that game type to play. You know, the MMO isn't what it was in 2006, 2007 when World of Warcraft reigned supreme, you know? And the only reason that game still has the player base it does is because it accumulated it super early in this industry's lifetime. And I think Guild Wars 2 is doing all right, personally. That's my state of the game statement. I think it's doing okay.
As TK brought up earlier, whilst we were talking about kind of Living World, PvE storyline for Heart of Thorns left a bad taste in many players' mouths, and it might take a bit more content to wash that out. And I genuinely feel like this Living World is going to make or break Guild Wars 2 for a lot of people. Because, I mean, for people who don't raid, PvE players who do not raid, you'll have been waiting, how many months is it until?
Like 9 months or something.
So this is kind of funny because somebody brought up in the mega thread, you know, this 2013, this is going to be the year to make or break Guild Wars 2. 2014, it's going to be the make or break year to break, you know, Guild Wars 2. And just keeps, it's the phrase that keeps coming back, and yet they're still here. So, I mean, would we feel as worried as about the state of the game if we weren't as connected and plugged into what's happening in the community?
Well, and the thing is, there's more to do in the game now than ever before. Like, I don't see the argument for people. I mean, obviously, people get bored and leave, right? That's all the time. But the fact is, for new players coming into the game, there's like such a ridiculous amount of stuff to do now compared to a launch. I don't think we have to worry about people, you know, turning their noses up at this game or whatever. I think people who are leaving who aren't playing, and they're claiming on Reddit that it's because they cut the legendaries. No, it's because you're bored, dude. It's because you're bored and you wanted a new experience. That's all. Yeah. And I think they'll come crawling back when Living World comes out, which I have supreme confidence in Living World Season 3 because Living World Season 2 was good, and because with Season 3 they don't have to worry about all the extra crap they had to worry about with Heart of Thorns, so they can focus completely on the story for the most part.
I feel like Guild Wars 2 has always been this MMO with a lot of potential. And every year we've been like, this is the year that the potential of this MMO is realised. The problem with potential is that at some point it goes away, and you're just left with either you realised your potential or you fell flat on your face. And I feel like we might be approaching that point with Guild Wars 2.
Okay, so here's a question. Today is March 27th. April 1st rolls in this week on Friday. What happened in Guild Wars 2 on April 1st, a couple of years ago?
You're talking about SAB.
Talking about SAB. Now they've been hinting this little carrot on the stick, for people and to say, oh yeah, it's coming back, it's coming back. It's coming back sometime, whenever. What would happen if they dropped it soon, like this week? Or
people would come flooding back in.
Would people come flooding back in? Would they forget about all of this legendary thing and they'd just, be happy because, oh my god, SAP is back? Would that be
They
the
wouldn't
thing?
forget about the legendary thing, but I guarantee you all those people on Reddit who 2 years ago were like, I quit and I'm never playing again because they took SAB away. They would all come
SAB
back
riot.
to play SAB. Yeah. Every single one of them.
Yeah, I don't know. SAB is temporary, but
that's the thing.
it's
It's
I think
if it comes back, is that going to even be enough?
I think it would be a temporary a plaster over the wound that's
a band-aid.
A band-aid that's happening right now.
Well, I think the only reason SAB was ever temporary content is because it wasn't finished. If they actually put, and keep in mind, there were supposed to be 7 worlds in SAB, and there was only 2 done. So this whole time they could have been finishing it, and if they drop that in with all 7 worlds, I think they'll just leave it in the game. There's no reason to make it temporary at that point. You should just leave it.
I feel like it loses its kind of special status if it's in permanently. I mean, it's there. I still think they should develop it as a separate game and sell it on Steam for $5 or $10. I think it's crazy if they don't do that. They've abandoned Guild Wars 2 and they're just focusing on SAB. Those 70 devs on the next expansion.
Sell it on the gem store.
Yeah.
They would rake in so much money. You know how many people would love that just as a standalone game? It's big enough. It has enough content to be a standalone game. God knows it has more content than most AAA games that come out. And it was freaking developed by one person. It's crazy talk. I don't know why. Why are we talking about SAB? I promised I would never talk about it again.
I know. Well, I mean, it's a question. It's a question. Where is this the only thing that's? If we're banking on Q3, Living World Season 3 being the thing that saves this game, that's still several months off. What is going to keep them keeping players to have keep? What is going to have? Players continue to come back and log into the game. I mean, Nebulizer or some. I'm sorry, I'm probably screwing this up. Who brought this up? Zabuzin said that when Guild Wars 2 went free to play, it brought players in, and that's keeping them going. That sentence was poorly constructed, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is that enough? Is this enough? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't have the answers. I don't have the
answers either.
I mean, I just look at all the stuff there is to do, and I'm like, yeah, no, we'll be fine. There's plenty to do. There's plenty, just because I'm personally not interested in a lot of it right now doesn't mean that millions of other people aren't. They have a player base of probably, guys, I don't know the numbers, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say they have more than 1 million players in their game, right? I think they'll be okay. I think it's fine.
Yeah. We'll just have to wait and see.
They also have... they're continuing with their quarterly patches. They do patches outside the quarterly patches, I think it'll be okay.
I think they just need to get over it. Mike already knows the problem. I think it's spreading themselves too thin. They just need to get over this. I mean, I'm going to be optimistic and say this is the last time we ever have a drought like this, and they properly learn from it, and they properly allocate resources as they should. And next expansion will be fine whenever it comes out, and they'll fix Heart of Thorns. Everyone will be happy, and
I also think another reason for this content drought is because they have more people working on WW than they would have ever anticipated because of this overhaul. That was obviously a spontaneous decision, and I think once that overhaul is done, that team is going to get downsized seriously because the WW team's not supposed to be that big, and once those devs get redistributed, I think they'll be able to produce content at a more reasonable rate. I think that's probably the biggest thing that's handicapping PvE content production right now is the WW overhaul.
Well, we just have to wait and see. I mean, we've talked about, I think we've talked about that on the previous episode. So if you're interested and you haven't heard our thoughts about why that shouldn't be the case, then go and
check out our YouTube channel.
Yeah. Check out some sort of episode on there. So I think Do you guys have anything else you kind of want to say about the state of the game for Q1? Because I mean, I think we've covered most of the major points that people have been talking about.
I think they brought in a lot of cool things. I mean, I still haven't played Shatterer, the new Shatterer, by the way.
It's not that amazing. I'll be perfectly honest with you.
I figure I'll get to it at some point. I'm in no
You can
rush.
still auto attack your way to victory on it.
Okay.
I'll have you know there are break bars. There are important break bars now.
You don't even have to break it. You don't even have to break it.
The crystals
you don't
do,
even have
but
to break
that's
it.
it.
Well, yeah, that's it. But I mean, I like what they've done with raids, even though I haven't played them. I like that the content is there, and that it sounds like it's good from everything that I've heard from players, which is mostly Rowan and people on Reddit. But
is that what the impression you got from me? Oh, I must have been.
Well, I mean, for the most part.
For
the most part, generally positive.
Yeah.
So I want to see Q2. I want to see something happening that is positive, that makes me feel like I'll have a reason to come back or log in for more than just bunny ears and glider skins.
And I think that's a good way to end the episode. Give me something to log in for that's more than bunny ears.
Oh, speaking of Jace, there he is. Didn't know that if they abandon the raid team, Living Store 3 will be released tomorrow. Yeah, no, I mean, we know that that's not going to happen. But
I feel like the Reddit community doesn't. I think the Reddit community doesn't really understand that. Like I said, I'm not a game developer, but I don't think most people understand how strenuous and tedious game development actually is. Yeah. And they don't understand that they can't give them good content every 2 weeks. Like, it just doesn't work that way. And Reddit, you're a petulant child. That's what I'm saying. Reddit.
It's fun. It's funny because you
you're
see a lot of times
petulant children.
You see a lot of times on Reddit people saying, "No, just Reddit just likes the drama." Whatever. It's there. We need to have drama in our life sometimes.
Yeah, I think the big thing is it's all valid. It's this time around. It seems to be all really valid points that everyone. And I think for me the biggest thing is that ArenaNet learned from this, right? I mean, I don't want to be here in a year's time talking about a similar situation. I think the biggest thing is that they take what everyone's saying on board as like kind of constructive criticism and feedback, rather than just like being a petulant child and like, I want everything now. Like, there's a reason behind.
There's a reason why parents say no, or not now.
Yeah. So I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode for us. Unless you guys have anything else you want to bring up.
Good.
Good. All right. So what did I want to say? Could be forgotten. Well, it'll probably never come back to me. We are. Thanks to everyone who's joined us. Don't forget we are live every Sunday at 8 p.m. GMT, 9 p.m. if you're in the UK, 1 p.m. if Pacific time, thanks to daylight savings time, on twitch.tv/GuildMag. So come and join us and let us know your thoughts. If you've got any opinions and you're watching the recorded version of this, then feel free to let us know on YouTube or on our website in the comments section. We do read them all. We respond when we can, and if there's something worth responding to. That's not, it didn't
so make your comments good? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm trying to say, like,
I'm joking.
Yeah. If you've got a valid point, then we like to hear it. And that's about it. So big thank you to everyone who's joined us this week. And we'll see you in a week's time, I guess. So bye, guys.
Bye.
Say bye, Aaron. There you go.
I did a wave. I thought it was classier.
Right on.
See ya.
Bye.
And we're done.